Good evening, everyone. It's Matthew. I know I look a bit different. No, I'm Rosie. And I'm here to introduce the rest of this evening's speakers. The next three speakers will be speaking about mental health. The first of these speakers is my sister, so I will know if she's telling the truth. Please welcome to the stage, Rachel.
Well, lads, how are things? So, my name's Rachel, obviously. I'm here to talk about hidden illnesses, because I don't think to talk about enough, to be fair. When I was a child, like really small, like baby small, I was sick a lot with kidney disease, and I was in a hospital the whole time. It was practically my second home. I did schoolwork in hospital and everything. It was that crazy. But one day, when I was about 9, my mother noticed different symptoms that weren't the usual to my constant urination. My stomach was spasming. She was like, oh my God, what is going on with my child? So she rang the NHS helpline because we lived in England at the time. And they were like, oh Jesus, get your child to hospital ASAP, like in an ambulance. So I went down in the ambulance and I got taken to hospital. They gave me scans, ultrasounds, tests, MRI scans, everything, like you name it, it was done to me. And, oh Christ. Yeah, they never told me straight away what was wrong. Like, they couldn't tell what was wrong. They just kind of were like, I don't know, like, maybe you're genetically mutating into an animal. Who knows? So that was fine. And they kind of just sent me away after a couple of days. They were like, look, I don't know what to do, girl. You just go on with yourself. Then a couple of months later, they sent me back to a consultant. A consultant for what? I don't know, because they didn't know. Then I got diagnosed with Tourette syndrome. And before anyone says anything, I know what you're thinking. She's not up there swearing, cursing, effing and blinding. But in fact, only 10% of Tourette sufferers actually have that form of tic with their Tourette's. My tics are fairly small now, not that noticeable. And I don't know if you can see them now because I never know when I'm doing them. My eyes kind of like twitch and flutter around. My nostrils probably have a brain of their own because of the things they do that are beyond my control. My stomach still kind of spasms, but like, you know, I can put that down to anything. But yeah, I'm not being rude, by the way, if I'm constantly like looking like I'm rolling my eyes. It's genuinely a tic. If I'm nervous or stressed, like kind of right now, my tics do get worse, and you know, it can be annoying, but I'm better dealing with it now. When I was younger, it could be very draining, like I imagine as a 10-year-old in primary school, not knowing what's going on with her body at any time, like she could fucking punch her classmate in the head, like, and not even realise. So I was constantly tired, like I just wanted to go to bed straight away, because even though the tics still happen while I'm sleeping, like I can't really feel them, so it doesn't really bother me then. 47% of sufferers have almost no tics left by the time they're 18, but sure don't you know, I wasn't that lucky. I'm 21 now, still have them. In children though, boys are 5 times more likely to suffer with Tourette's than girls. And you're twice as likely to be diagnosed between the ages of 12 to 17 than 6 to 11. And since I'm female and 21, I shouldn't really be suffering anymore, but I'm just a medical marvel, you know. I can deal with it so much better now, along with my numerous other hidden illnesses. Yes, numerous others. Diabetes, kidney disease, mental health issues, liver disease, you name it, I've probably had it. But I do try to stay positive because hidden illnesses are hard, but they're just that, hidden. Like anyone in this room, like I'd say half of the people in this room have a hidden illness that nobody knows about. So just try to be nice to everyone you meet, because you truly don't know like what they're suffering with or what they're going through when they're at home by themselves. So yeah, thanks.
Oh, she's gone. Thank you, Rachel. I suppose you were telling the truth, yeah? Next, we have Sky. Please.
Hello everyone. Hello. My name is Sky Turner, and today I'd like to talk to you about depression and the stigma around it. As someone who once suffered from depression and anxiety for several years, I know what it's like to feel lonely, even when you're not alone. Growing up, keeping my depression hidden was difficult, especially since I had, by all accounts, a good life. A happy family, a good school, and supportive friends. But there was an underlying sadness. I remember asking people a few years ago what they thought of depression, and the majority believed suicide was selfish. Nowadays, however, things are luckily getting better. But stigma against it is still prevalent. Now, talking about depression is an uncomfortable subject for a lot of people. So instead, let's think of it this way. If you saw someone in trouble in a burning building who is calling out for help, you don't just stand there and tell them that they're just looking for attention, do you? Straight away, you think of how you can help. Even if they might have done something to help cause the fire, maybe they left a cigarette late or fell asleep with the oven on, you still don't let them just burn because of it. This is the same with depression. These people are asking for attention, because needing help when you feel helpless is a natural thing. If this person isn't able to get themselves out of the fire, maybe your help can lead them on the way to the exit. But if you stand there and tell them that they're just looking for attention while everything around them goes up in flames, you might as well be pouring gasoline over the place. We shouldn't hesitate to help someone in trouble, whatever the reason. Stigma is something we create, and it helps nobody. According to Mental Health Ireland, 1 in 4 people will experience some form of mental health struggle in their lifetime, and yet still a stigma remains. Increasing awareness and funding for organisations such as Pieta House and CAMHS can help save lives. From personal experience with CAMHS, I've seen how it can help, but time between appointments, especially when your mental health is deteriorating, is too infrequent. Time between appointments needs to be decreased for such severe cases, and more counsellors should be employed, as teens nowadays are so in tune with their emotions and are now more open than ever. I personally believe that institutions in Ireland are too quick to medicate and diagnose people and label them, therefore isolating them and making them feel worse. Of course, helping them in any way and giving them the tools they need to get better is a positive, but it can also have negative consequences. In my experience, it felt that if I didn't tick all the boxes for a certain mental illness, I was left in limbo. Therefore, no real effort was made to get to know me, what made me happy or what made me sad, and thus no real solution could be found because no effort was made to get to know me as a person, rather than a case or a name on the file. If these vital services were given more funding and more counsellors, teenagers like myself would get a lot more of the help that we require. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, but we have to make sure this tunnel doesn't collapse around these people first. I am testament to this, because I was put on Prozac and sertraline and saw CAMHS counsellors every month or so. I took the decision in conjunction with my parents to go off these medications as I felt they weren't helping me. I missed my first 3 years of secondary school because of my mental health, but was determined to learn and completed my junior cert at home, and this gave me the confidence and belief in my ability to go back to school and to try to suppress my anxiety and phobia of the school social environment. I am now a happy and confident teen attending public school who would not be here speaking to you today if I hadn't been helped by my friends, family, and anyone who cared. But I am one of many, and unfortunately it hasn't worked out this well for lots of people. I feel passionately if we can get more funding and more social acceptance for the outsiders like myself who felt socially awkward and weren't made aware that we didn't need to be put in a box, that this will help teens accept themselves for who they are and not feel forced to conform to society's norm. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Sky. That was brilliant. And up next, we have Hannah.
Before we get started, I'd like you all to take a moment to relax. Get comfortable in your chair. Close your eyes and just live inside your mind for a few moments. I would like you to imagine that you are running a bath. Make it the best bath you've ever had, with bubbles and bath bombs and scents of all kinds. Spoil yourself. Light candles, and then turn the lights off so you're in almost complete darkness. Walk over to the bath and slowly undress yourself. And then finally, sink into the water. Let the warmth encase you, comfort you. You've never felt this relaxed for a long time. And suddenly, the plug pulls. It's cold, dark, and damp. You're scared, shivering, vulnerable, alone. You want to get out, but you can't seem to move your limbs. You try to yell out, but your voice doesn't work. All you can do is curl up into a ball. This is what it feels like to have a mental illness. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hannah Cullimore, and I'm here to hopefully help you understand what these people live through. We are so caught up in trying to live up to a standard that we seem to forget what's really important, ourselves. You are the most important person in your life. But God forbid you put yourself first in situations. What are you? Selfish? Stuck up? Narcissistic? This mentality that people have is toxic. You have every right to put yourself first and say no to others. There is a set standard from the second we are born. We are told from the very start what to do with our lives. It's simple. Do well in school, get a job, and make money. Some even have the pressure to be the best. I heard a father telling his 12-year-old daughter, "Do you want to be a doctor like me or a nurse like your mother?" Parents are so hell-bent on trying to have the perfect family life that they simply refuse to believe that their child could have a mental illness. You can't possibly be depressed. You have everything. People my age are being told what to do with our lives, but it's our fault if we're not capable to live up to the unwritten criteria. Don't even get me started on beauty standards. Just the other day, I witnessed a girl beg her mother to let her go to the gym because all the other girls in my class are skinny and I don't want to be the fat one. It's shocking, isn't it? Even when we try to tell each other what we don't like about ourselves, we run the risk of them believing that we're fishing for compliments. And while those can help others' confidence, it is simply not one. It is one thing being told something and another believing yourself. But alas, as the cheesy romance novels say, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and people can learn to be happy. Help is so much more easily accessible, and there's so many people like you, and we're all here for each other. You don't have to change to make other people happy, but you can change to make yourself happy. And there is help there for you. There is so much potential in each and every one of you. And you are the most important person in your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. We would like to now invite our guest speaker, Deborah, to take the stage, and I would urge you all to listen to her remarkable story, which I'm sure will inspire you, Deborah.
So many pages up here. Great. Hi, my name is Deborah. I'm 24. I'm a senior associate with PwC. I want to firstly congratulate you all on organising such an amazing event. I think that you guys have all spoken so powerfully about things that I know 20, 40, 50-year-olds can't speak as clearly about and aren't as confident about, so well done to all of you. And even being able to get up here is a very nerve-wracking experience, so well done. So I'm here today to tell you about my story. When I was 10, I moved to Ireland after the breakup of my parents' marriage. I had a relatively normal upbringing up until then. My mum left my dad and she had to try to figure out how she would stand on her own 2 feet with 3 children, 10 and under. And one on the way. She'd also been suffering from undiagnosed mental health issues since she was a teenager, unknown to us at the time. Unfortunately, it was all too much for my mum to handle, and she felt she had no one to ask for help. This led to a breakdown in our relationship, and I became homeless for the first time when I was around 13. It was a very scary experience sleeping in hostels with adults as a 13-year-old girl. Normally you have to leave the hostels early in the morning, then return to try and get a bed before they all fill up in the evening. A lady called Shelley from Focus Ireland saw that a 13-year-old wandering the streets of Dublin all day by herself was obviously an unsafe situation, and she allowed me to stay in Focus Ireland's offices during the day before I went back to my hostel in the evening. When I got placed somewhere more suitable, Focus Ireland stayed linked in with me, particularly in relation to education. I was embarrassed to be going to school knowing, while I was going to a homeless accommodation for young girls, at this stage, everyone else was going home to their families. Focus Ireland found different incentives to keep me going to school. So, I was obsessed with makeup, but I could never afford to buy myself any. So they set up a 3-month star chart system that if I went to school every single day for 3 months, I got a piece of my favourite makeup at the end. It seems like something so small, but it was probably the best thing that anyone ever did for me, and I am so thankful to them for that. A lot of the kids that I grew up with would have found school too difficult to continue and would have dropped out, gone to a youth reach course, or just not done anything. I left that home sometime after my 14th birthday and moved into Dunu, a private residential care home in Drumcondra. It's run by these amazing people called Kira and Paddy. I remember going to see it before I moved in and remarking that it was like Disneyland in comparison to my current care home. There was nothing special about this home. It was a normal house in a normal housing estate. The manager of the home was a man called Alan. When me and Alan first met, we actually did not get along, which is hilarious for us both because he's basically a second dad to me today. I felt settled in Dunu. The proprietors, Kira and Paddy, go out of their way to ensure the children in their homes have as close to a normal upbringing as possible. Me and the other girls in the house were extremely close, and we felt like sisters. The 2 other girls were both 16, so kind of like older sisters to me. They always had my back. I remember us all sitting around the dinner table one day saying who we thought would first get pregnant, and the order would go in. And obviously I was last on the list, because I was the youngest. In March 2008, we found out I would actually be the first. I was terrified because I was going to have to leave my Disneyland care home. There are special care homes for mothers and babies, and I had heard unflattering stories about them in terms of support. I was scared to tell anyone, but Alan got it out of me within a couple of hours. So I began mentally preparing myself for the move. But little did I know, behind the scenes, Alan had gone to ask Kira and Paddy to convert Dunu into a mother and baby home so I could stay. Both of the girls had moved out at this stage, so there would be no other residents affected. They agreed, and that decision is definitely the reason I stand before you today. Everyone at school found out I was pregnant, which I tried to deny until I had to keep running out my junior cert English paper with morning sickness. So I had to drop out because it was too embarrassing. Kira paid for me to attend grinds at the Institute of Education while I was pregnant, so I could resit my junior cert after I had my son. This is massively going above and beyond for a child in care. Statistically, it was really unlikely that I would one day go to college, especially as I was a single mom. So I don't know why she bothered, but I am so thankful to her for doing that. I had my son in December 2008. I was now 15, and I sat my junior cert mocks approximately 8 weeks later in a new school. This exam was different to any exam I ever sat before. This exam I put so much pressure on myself to pass because I had to for my son. I had to make a better life for my son, and education was how I was going to do it. I remember electing to go to 5th year straight after 3rd, and my math teacher pulling me aside to have a chat with me about how I should do 4th year instead of 5th, because I probably wasn't going to do my leaving cert because I had a child. I'm really happy I did not let her line of thinking influence me. Dunu supported me in every way they could while I finished school, whether it was dropping Liam to creche in the morning so I wouldn't be late for school, or babysitting in the morning so I could get a couple hours extra sleep before school. They were always there for me. I'm so thankful to them for that. I completed my Leaving Cert at one of the highest points in my school, which is not as impressive as it sounds because it was a really disadvantaged school. However, the Dcu Access Program lets you get into any course you want on reduced points. I gained entry to DCU through the Access Program to study accounting and finance. That was my first choice. I still remember Alan being the only parent at the school when I got my Leaving Cert results and how he started crying when he realised I'd gotten enough points for my course under the Access Scholarship. He cries all the time. The issue now, though, was as I was turning 18, I had to move out. These are the rules of living in care. So my new worry was how I would support myself and my son when I went to college. The first thing I did was request an aftercare worker. This is how Focus Ireland came into my life again. I developed a strong advocacy network made up of my aftercare worker, Emma from Focus Ireland, a young person in care advocate, a teen parent support worker, Duna Nogue, and the great people over at One Family. This network strongly advocated for an aftercare package for me so I had the financial support to be able to attend college, which I got in the end. While I was in college, Emma from Focus Ireland supported me by being there for me when things got tough and helped motivate me to stick with it when I got demotivated. Even years after Emma officially stopped being my aftercare worker, she was still getting in touch and helping me think about my career options and the path I would like to take. She'd come to understand me and knew what I wanted. Through Claire Whelan in DCU, I found out about a new scholarship from CRH being offered to 3 Access Scholarship students for a Master's. I was luckily one of the recipients of that scholarship, and I completed a Master's in Accounting 3 years ago, which helped earn me a place at PwC, one of the largest accounting firms in the world. I remember the graduate recruitment brochures for all the Big 4 accounting firms being rolled out every year while I was in college, and I just look at all the women in it and think, wow, they really have their lives together. I really looked up to those women. In the first year of my contract, PwC asked me to be in their graduate recruitment brochure, and I couldn't believe it. When the brochures came out, I emailed every single organisation that had helped me along the way to say thank you. As for me today, I've just passed my final Chartered Accounting professional exams, and I am in the final year of my training contract with PwC. My son Liam is 9 years old. He does maths apps on his iPad for fun, so he's a little nerd. I feel so lucky to have the life I do now, and I felt a need to help other parents achieve what I had achieved. Not just for themselves, but for their children to not grow up in homelessness or poverty. That's why I started Empower the Family, a not-for-profit company which will provide student accommodation with childcare to disadvantaged single parents between the ages of 18 to 23. I genuinely believe everything that happened in my life happened to me for this purpose. To be able to change people's lives for generations and prevent them from being another poverty or homeless statistic. I want people to have the support, accommodation, and quality childcare I had access to so I could become who I am today. Under the DCU Access Scholarship, I got an extra €1,000 grant per year on top of my normal SUSI grant. I also got funding for grinds coming up to exams if I felt I needed extra help with any difficult subjects. Funnily enough, the main subject I needed grinds in was accounting, because they didn't do accounting in my secondary school. So the first time I did accounting was in college. By the way, the DCU Access Program, or just access programs in general, operate in every university in the country, and they allow people from disadvantaged communities and disadvantaged schools a way to get into college. So DCU is the best one in terms of how reduced the points are. So you can get into any course you want in DCU for 320 points. So there's people doing psychology and medicine and law for 320 points in DCU. So that's amazing because they're recognizing the disadvantage that is in these schools in relation to teaching higher level subjects and not having the same resources that children in private schools have. And they are reducing the points to reflect that and make it an even playing field. And I really respect what they're doing there. I also had a great support network around me when I was in college, which was crucial. This was part of the Access Service. I applied for jobs the year before I graduated, and I did not get one interview. I remember going crying to Kathy in the Access office about how I wanted to give up and would never get a job. She was there to say, "You won't give up. You can do this. You will get a job, don't worry." She was right. A year later, I did those same applications and got not only interviews, but 2 job offers from 2 of the biggest accounting firms in the world. Having people there to help pick you up when you are down is so important. My best advice to you is surround yourself with those types of people. People who lift you up instead of bring you down. This is how I built my resilience, and that helped me achieve my dream. Whether it was a counsellor from one family, or a girlfriend, or someone from the access service, I asked for help when I needed it. I talked to people when I needed to. They helped me see the light at the end of the tunnel at times where I felt there was no light. It has been an honour to share my story with you today. I want every single one of you to aim beyond what you think you are capable of. That was what I did every step of the way, because I knew education was the only thing that would get me and my son a better life free from the chaos I was living in. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much for speaking, Deborah. That was one of the most inspirational stories I've ever heard. Wow. Up next, we have Matthew and Sam. Starting with Matthew.
Hi everyone, my name is Matthew, and today I'm talking about stress relief and how I relieve myself stress. Managing stress is an ongoing process. Before I found a way to relieve stress, I struggled in school and at home. After 6 months of first year, I started to go to school completion. School completion helped me to identify some of the pressure points, and I started thinking about how to deal with the pressure I felt. It was a great way to have space and support to sort my thoughts and come up with techniques to manage my stress. During this time, I found my passion for music. I started playing guitar, and then I could feel all my problems go away. While playing guitar, I felt way more relaxed and happy. I was able to focus in school and study without other things taking up my headspace. Music brings you to the here and now and lets you take a break from your anxieties. When I play music, I don't worry about tomorrow. I now practice guitar twice every day and makes my life so much more relaxed and happy. But while music works for me, it mightn't work for you. People get stressed out of their system in loads of ways. For me, it's music. For you, it might be sport or art. My advice to you here tonight is to look for what makes you feel good, what is your passion, and in my experience, while it will not solve all your problems, it will go a long way to helping you feel way more happy and less stressed. Just remember, if plan A doesn't work, the alphabet has 25 more letters. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for that, Matthew. That was great. And now we have Sam.
For as long as I can remember, I've loved nothing on this earth more than a great song. The sort of emotions they stir up in me are inexplicable. They affect me like nothing else. When I was 4 years old, I spent most of my time dressed up as David Bowie, makeup and all, playing along to Changes or Oh You Pretty Things on a minuscule toy piano. So by the time I was 13, I had a burning desire to be able to do something that all my heroes could do, to write a great song. I did have a few minor problems I had to overcome before I could become the sort of composer I had in mind, however. The most problematic and potentially fatal of these being that I was an awful musician. I owned a guitar, but I had no inkling as to how to play it, and none of the patience I needed to learn. Unperturbed, I came up with a solution. I latched myself on to the 2 most talented people I could find, and I hung on for dear life. My first year with my band was spent bashing out Nirvana covers which, needless to say, I couldn't play, in our drummer's front room. All the while, I was simultaneously trying to learn to play bass guitar and to write a masterpiece. My early attempts were quite frankly pitiful, pathetic, and painful to listen to. My obsession with the Smiths meant that all my lyrics were ridiculously melodramatic, and I still couldn't play an instrument even passably. A year passed. followed by another, and another. And my band members increased from 3 to 4, went back to 3, and went back up to 4 again. All the while, I became more and more frustrated. I was by far the weakest musician of the group, and I could not sing for love nor money. My confidence was pretty low. And as well as this, I was beginning to get a little worried about being removed from my chosen hobby by force. My only choice, as I saw it, was to write a song. Throughout third year, I would come home every day and do exactly the same thing. I'd plug in my guitar, turn it up as far as it would go, and play the first thing that came into my head. This would usually be a fairly unremarkable way of letting off steam. But one day, having come home with pages and pages of homework and an inhuman loathing of the words junior cert, I hit upon something. A simple, 3-note phrase that lasted barely 2 seconds, but for some reason stuck in my head. It went something like this. Da, da, da. That's all I had, but it did feel like a start. The next day, having racked my brain for hours, I finally added another note. Da, 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 da. Ooh, I thought. Finally, on day 3, it all came together. Da, 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 do, do, do. It was no symphony, but these 5 notes opened up something to me. Something I had never really considered before. Maybe I didn't have to be supremely talented or extremely skillful to do what I wanted to do, to get across what I wanted to say. Maybe to create something has nothing to do with being talented. Maybe it's closer to an emotion than a skill. Over the next 4 days or so, I toiled to finish my song. All it took in the end was 4 more chords and some simplistic lyrics that mean absolutely nothing, and I was set. I'd been given a new lease of life while internally fuming over the injustice that is the junior cert. When I showed my song to my band, they were shocked. It was clearly an unexpected turn of events. Our lead guitarist, who is without doubt the most talented musician I've ever had the pleasure to play with, said something along the lines of, "It's so stupid, it could actually work." And it did. My more technically minded bandmates revolutionised how the song flowed, adding some kicking drum work and a breakdown, and turning it from an idea in my bedroom to an all-out song. Almost exactly a year later, in April this year, that song became the opener of our first record, which I've been told to tell you can be found on Spotify, Deezer, iTunes, and YouTube. It's called Infectious, and I urge you to give it a listen. My confidence grew, and gradually I began to write more and more. Soon it became so that every time something hurt me, or I felt that something went against me, or even that something just irked me a little bit, I would come home and bash out a song about it. And I'm sure anyone here who's going through or has been through adolescence will agree that there's quite a lot to be annoyed about. In the past, all the steam just built up and up and up until I went and did something stupid, or I began to feel that the world was out to get me. Now, my answer to most of my problems is to write a song. Any negative event in my life triggers the thought, well, at least I'll get a decent song out of it. And when I say I write a song, I don't mean I pick up my guitar and all immediately just clicks into place. The story I told you a minute ago is a rare event. I've only ever been that lucky 3 times. A good 90% of my songs never see the light of day. They never even might leave my room, and no one ever hears them apart from me and whatever member of my family happens to catch them through the door. Most of them are chaotic, plagiarized pieces of crap. But that's not the point. What they sound like doesn't really matter, and who hears them is far from important. I guess my point is that, for me, songwriting is an outlet. Some sort of liberal arts-based coping mechanism. Any sort of negative emotion or feeling I have towards anyone or anything goes into writing a petty and vindictive song when it could be going into a fight outside the school gates or on the internet. Or worse, it could be building up inside me, waiting for the right time to escape. And I, for one, know which I'd prefer. And to be honest, I'm awful in a fight anyway. It doesn't have to be a song either. It could be whatever you're into. Filmmaking, writing, interpretive dance, theatre, sculpting, wood engraving, smelting, blacksmith work, or fashion design, it doesn't matter. Pick a medium and stick with it. Make it proud and make it angry. And above all else, don't give a damn what anyone else thinks. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sam. It's now time to say a few thank yous for this evening before I hand over to Sarah. As you can imagine, organising an event as fantastic as this takes some behind the scenes work. So thank you to the organising committee, particularly Mariah, Ria and Sarah. Leah for her help with the promotional material. Thank you to Paula, Celine, JP, Kenny and Katrin for all their continued support. The videographer Kevin Pym from Sporthouse Production, who was kindly sponsored by VoxGig, and Com Neville of the Riverside Park Hotel. I will now hand you over to Sarah Kelly for the final part of the evening.
You all have paper, I have my phone. Well, my name is Sarah Kelly and I actually live here in Enniscorthy. I attended the FDYS a couple of years ago when my life was kind of a bit messy. And through the support I got, I managed to get back on my feet. I went back to school, managed to find myself a place. And I wanted to do more because I felt like I was finally in that position in my life to do more. So that's when I got an opportunity to travel to Lebanon. There was a project going on over there on conflict transformation. So basically it was different conflicts that we do in our lives, how to deal with them and how to take them on head first. I met the most amazing people. And believe it or not, lads, as far as the Middle East, there's the people with the same problems just as us that go through the same thing, am I pretty enough, and all this kind of stuff. So it was great to go so far across the world and think, I must be the odd one out here. But actually, they're pretty much all the same. And to tell you a bit more on that is the most amazing guy you're ever going to meet in your lives. If you just all go home and look up the word talented in your dictionary, you're going to see a picture of Calvin. I swear to you. So, no further ado, Mr. Calvin.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Sarah. I'm blushing right now, but you can't see it. So, before I start, I would just like to show you guys a video.
وجهك ابتسامة لما بعيونك بطمن عيون قلقانة لما ايدك بتساعد حدا خايف لما بقلوب البشر نشوف العنف عم بيزيد الطفل يلي فينا عم بيطلع من الوريد انسان راقي راقب عقله وبشكله نرافض العنف وعارفهم بوصله اسمع ارفعوا قيمة الانسان حتى يغلى واسف بحالك واستمتع بحياتك خلي واسف بحالك واستمتع بحياتك طريقك بدونها خلي
Listen, I go through it, you go through it. Something deep in our hearts, we can't let it out, but we can't. Like a caterpillar in its cocoon. We know the beauty that comes along with it once we make the move. But no, we're so scared of what society think about us, so we keep on hiding, fighting, and harming ourselves. I get it. You like to come out like a brave soldier, standing up in front of the crowd saying, I am the person that you try to oppress. But I'm free. I'm free like a butterfly spreading my wings. But no, society blocks you back in like a bird flying up in the sky looking for a butterfly to pin. But you have to realize that life is what you make it, but know how you see it.
Okay. I like to move around, so is it okay if I move around from here? Absolutely. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much. This project, as Sarah said, was called Conflict Transformation, also known as Transforming Shadows. Basically, as we were working with other groups in Lebanon, and with this project, it wasn't, we need to talk about Lebanese group in the project, we say an Irish group, Lebanese group. But one amazing thing about this project was we're all diverse. You know, I'm from Ireland, but originally I'm born in Ghana. We had Nigerian, so all of us, and when we're talking about conflict, we're also not talking about major conflict that we see, we're also talking about conflict within ourselves, that we fight with every blessed day. And how do we transform this conflict and make it something positive? Because sometimes some people can hold in with this thing that they fight with themselves within, and use it something differently. But this whole project was how you transform this into something positive. And I'd like to tell you about my journey, why I really wanted to do this project. Originally, as I said, I'm born in Ghana, West Africa. And I have my own stories there to get here. And when I came to Ireland, there are certain things that I have seen and what the country have done for me. And with this project was going to give me the opportunity. For me, I like to empower, you know, for what I have transformed myself into, or what this country has given me to transform myself into. So this point, when I got an email from Ann Walsh, said, Kelvin, this project will be a nice project for you. At that very moment in time, I was doing my last year in college. And then I was like, should I take it? I will go. You never know. Screw this, man. And then I did. And then I went to this project, which was, from that moment, I got transformed. But the main aspect of this project, what we actually use to tackle these conflicts within us, was creative methods. So in the project, we had singers. We had people that are very good at instruments. I do spoken word, sometimes a little bit of rap. And within the project, the stories that you hear, when I was going, was scary. People told me, Kelvin, why would you go to Lebanon? It's beside Syria. It's beside Palestine. Oh, Israel is also there. First of all, you're a Christian and you're going, Kelvin? You're going, oh, Kelvin, don't. I had all this. But that moment, I really also wanted to experience something in life. I really wanted to ignore what people say and actually go there myself and witness. And when I actually went there to witness it, it was totally different from what people said. You know, and with that, when we go into the project, I came back to Ireland and went there again. And the amazing thing is, when I was walking down the street, people would be like, what's up, my friend? And I'm like, what's up, my friend? You know, people were so loving. People were so, there was this guy that when I went there the second time, the two of us language barrier was very difficult. But he knows that I dance. So he said to me, yo, my friend, I will show you something. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he didn't want to perform on the street, so we came into this corner, and he started doing breakdancing in front of me, and he was showing it to me, and I was like, yeah, that's what I do. And I was like, whoa, that's amazing. I was like, yes, me, young, me, dance. And I was like, that's amazing. You know, because the communication was not, even though we couldn't communicate, but there was something there. You know, we were reflecting. And when I came back to Ireland, I said to myself, I'm not actually going to listen to the media anymore. Because the media, when I was here, the media influence was so much. Because if I was able to listen to the media, listen to what people said, I would have that connection that I have there. There was amazing friends that I also met in Lebanon. Some of them came here, we're still having contact. Some of that still help me in this day. That sometimes when I go, I would like to tell a personal story that only few people know right now. Just November, from ending of last year, November, December, January, February, and ending of kind of also March, there was something that a wave of just torture. In November, I was traveling to a project, and then I was given, I do choreography, I teach dance and everything. And the project we were going to do a flash mob. But I went through security in Ireland, everything was fine. But when I go to Lebanon, when I go to Berlin to get to the place where we're going, they stopped me and then they said that the speakers that I had have something in it. And basically what they're trying to say is I have a bomb inside the speakers. It really affected me. They did an investigation, it took 2 months. They came back, apologized, oh, sorry, nothing, da. During that, I was I was in a relationship, everything was going fine, and the relationship just ended while I was going through that. I don't know how it happened. And then, 3 months after this relationship ended, my second mom, I came to Ireland when I was 13. My second mom, the one that took care of me when my parents came to abroad to look for a better life for me at the age of 5, she passed away. And then I was like, why is this things happening? You know, and then we went to the funeral in Ghana, came back, a week later my mom was admitted in the hospital. She had to go for surgery. And I was like, God, why is this happening to me? And at that very moment I couldn't hold it in. And I even I said, in my life I am fighting for world peace. And giving love to people. But why is it the things that I love and the people that I love are all leaving? I really thought about, I said, what's the point of living on this world anymore? I really did. I really did. And in my community, we are very also religious. And when we talk about religious, I mean deep religious people. So I'm a very strong religious man, but sometimes we have a thing of, oh, Muslim Christians. But me going to Lebanon, I stopped about saying that, oh, there's a difference between Muslims and Christians. I believe that we're all one people, one love, one heart, one destiny. And at that moment was when a friend in Lebanon, her name is Tanya, she called me and said, Kelvin, do you know what? In life, this is a test. This is a test, and you thinking of all these things is not right. And we started talking about religion, because she's Muslim, I'm a Christian. But there was nothing conflict between that. And she was using God. You know, I said Jesus, she said Allah and everything. But she said to me, Kelvin, this is the moment where Allah is giving you a test. And maybe if you think of ending everything, maybe there's somebody there that's waiting for your message to change. And that person will never get it. And I have a friend too that never also believes in God and everything, but now she's finding her way. And she said to me, Kelvin, this is the moment where you believe. With these people, so was the one empowered me, got me back up into thinking and realized. So with this project that I did, it was not a project that happened last year, but it's a project that also helped me. Because otherwise, if my friend in Lebanon did not call me and talk to me, maybe I won't be here with you guys. Because it was too much for me. So with this project, Conflict Transformation, I went there to learn, and I came home, there was conflict within me that I couldn't even transform, but my friend was able to help me, and I transformed it, and now I stand there and I'm like, I'm freshly born, and fresh guy, you know. So, what did this project also motivated me to do? I really love also writing spoken words. So, when I came back, I was given this project. I mean, there's this organization I work with in the theater field. Came back from Lebanon after the project. They said, Kelvin, I'd like to do something about migration and everything. I was like, so we're giving you, I work with migrant, like kids from Africa and different, and we just want to give you all these kids, 40 kids. Let's do a dance about it. And I was like, oh yeah. But because of the knowledge that I got in Lebanon, I knew what the situation that people go through to get even other countries. The struggle. Some take the desert, some take the boat, some take the plane, some take the sea, every form. And I put it in, and it was an amazing piece. And they said, oh, the whole Ireland have to see this. But after that, I wrote this spoken word that I'd like to share with you guys right now. This spoken word, I call it 2016. And 2016 was a moment of when it was all the whole Syria. It was the Syria thing started kind of like, for me, it started hitting me. And as a person I'm filled with, there's 5 people that I kind of like inspire me to be a person that's standing for the youth and standing for people. One of them, as I said, religious person, is Jesus Christ. Second one, Bob Marley, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and the last one, MJ. Michael Jackson. I love that guy. They're all about love, and so with them, that's what I want to be. I want to be a person that kind of like talk about love and being there for people. So 2016 was kind of like when I saw Syria, especially when I see kids bleeding and kids dying, it really affected me. And it's a spoken word. I realized that if something happens, especially in Europe or in America, we talk about it for a very long time. There's even a movement that even comes along with it. But when things happen in the rest of the countries, other countries, it talked about a few weeks, and then that's it, dies off. And we don't seem to talk about it anymore. So that is what kind of like inspired me to write this. It was 2016 when I was running to my bus. Started reminiscing about this life. A life that's nothing much but a war zone. And all they want is for us is to be alone. Wait, in fact, we are alone. Because think about the iPhones and iPad and iTouch. Never our phones and our pad and our touch. Pushing us away from each other. And always talking about the media. Wait, talking about the media. Do you remember Eric Gaynor, the guy in America that got killed? And before that, he screamed out loud and said, "I can't breathe." And in fact, he couldn't breathe, but he still got killed. And at the end of the day, we put up our hands and we said, Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do matter. But I was like, what about the people in Syria, Palestine, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Somalia, dying, with kids running around frightening, like they have seen some kind of lightning? And politicians and leaders walking around smiling, thinking of what they're doing is so exciting and they need some kind of praising. See, the thing is, they have not heard a cry of a child, screaming for their parents, mama, papa, as they lay down there beside them in the pool of blood. Or they have not heard a cry of a mother, as she escorts his or her son to the graveyard because he or she has just been shot or stabbed to death. See, the thing is, how did we let this happen? We are so blinded with money, fame, power, and greed that we forgot the whole meaning of humanity. But the question is, what is humanity? From the words of Bob Marley, one love, one heart, one destiny. Love is the only thing that we need. The agape love, the unconditional love. The love that our God in heaven gave to us, but rather we threw it away and accepted the God on earth who want nothing much but to separate you and me. And this God is nothing much but the media. And this same God will tell us that we need world peace. See, at this very moment, to me, we don't need world peace. What we need is survival. How a child in Africa is going to survive by having food to eat. How a child in Syria is going to survive by not running away from having a place where he or she can call home without running away from gunshots. Or how a child in America, a black child in America is going to survive by not being gunned down by the police, even though he put up a sign and said, please, don't shoot. Or how a child in the UK will say, Mom, I'm going to school, without the mom being called and said, Miss, would you come and identify the body of your son? So in order to achieve world peace, we have to love one another. And with love comes to solidarity and unity. So I repeat, in order to achieve world peace, we have to love one another, but not hate one another. Thank you very much.
That's it. It's all over. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We really appreciate everybody turning up. And just if you can take 1 second just to give another round of applause for all the speakers tonight.